right, let's talk about one of the most critical moments in any Six Sigma project. That self-test you absolutely have to pass before you're allowed to move from the define phase to the measure phase. Let's get right into it.
I mean, what a professional nightmare, right? You put in all that work, all that effort, only to realize it was for nothing. If you don't put your project through a really tough reality check right now, you could literally spend the next 3 months sprinting in the completely wrong direction.
So today, we're covering 5 survival questions. And I mean that literally. If you can't give a solid, evidence-backed answer to every single one of them, you need to stop. Right now. Go back to the drawing board. Think of this as the ultimate gut check for your project. Okay, so this reality check, it actually has a formal name in the Six Sigma world, the Toll Gate Review. And honestly, it's your best defense against a project that's, well, doomed from the start. Just think of it like a literal toll gate on a highway. You just can't pass through to the measure phase until you prove your project's logic is absolutely airtight and that its benefits are real. So many teams, and I mean so many, rush this part. They start measuring data before the problem is even clear, and that's just a massive waste of everyone's time and money. So how do you know if you're actually ready to pass through that gate? Well, it all comes down to answering these 5 questions, honestly and with proof. Let's walk through them one by one. Okay, question number 1, and this is maybe the most important. Does the customer actually care? I mean, really, is the problem you're trying to solve a major pain point for them? Because if it's not, they are not going to pay an extra cent for your solution, even if you get it to Six Sigma levels of perfection. Don't waste your energy on something the customer just doesn't value. And you can't just guess on this one. You have to prove it using some specific tools. You've got your voice of the customer analysis to get that direct feedback. You've got your critical to quality or CTQ tree to really pinpoint what matters most. Or even the Kano model to figure out the difference between a must-have feature and a nice-to-have one. The whole point here is to translate what the customer is saying into requirements you can actually measure. All right, on to the next one. Question 2. Is the problem actually measurable? This is where all those fuzzy, feel-good goals meet cold, hard reality. Look, if your project goal still sounds something like boost morale or improve efficiency, you need to stop and rewrite it right now. You need a concrete, measurable target, something like reduce employee turnover by 15%, or like one company did, reduce paper usage to save exactly $46,000 a year. See the difference? You need a specific outcome. In Six Sigma, we call that the why, that one primary metric you are laser-focused on improving. You've probably heard this before, but it's so true. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. It really says it all. Without that quantifiable target, you can't build a model later on, and there's no way you can prove that your project actually worked. Okay, moving on to question 3. Does your team have a deep, and I mean shared, understanding of the process you're trying to fix as it exists right now? Think about it. You can't fix what you haven't mapped. During the define phase, you're supposed to go from just a vague idea of a problem to having a detailed map of how things actually work today. A detailed process diagram isn't just nice to have. It is absolutely non-negotiable. It's a mandatory deliverable. Now this next one, it's huge. Question 4. Does the boss actually have your back? And I don't think just a polite nod in a meeting. Do you have genuine, verifiable support? Because without what we call rations and a mandate, resources and authority, your project is just a pretty PowerPoint presentation you made for your own amusement. So what's your proof for this one? It's your project charter. That document is your contract. It's what sets expectations, aligns your project with the big business goals, and this is key, it documents that control of the process has officially been handed over to you and your team. And the key word here is agreed. This isn't a suggestion. Your charter has to be signed. The budget needs to be allocated. That piece of paper is the proof that the big boss has your back, and it's what secures the actual resources you need to get the job done. And that brings us to our 5th and final survival question. Has the finish line been clearly defined and agreed upon? And by everyone, I mean your team, your sponsors, your executive leaders. Does everybody share the exact same definition of what success looks like? Because misalignment on this point is a classic project killer. So, if you can confidently and honestly say yes to all 5 of those questions, and you have the documents to back it up, then congratulations, you have just earned your golden ticket to the measure phase. So let's recap. This is your official defined tollgate checklist. You need a comprehensive project statement, you need a team charter, a process map, a clear understanding of the voice of the customer, and finally, that definition of success that's been agreed on by your sponsors. These 5 things, these are your ticket.
So if you have all that in hand, seriously, congratulations. You haven't just checked off a box on a list. You've proven that your project is built on solid grounds and is actually worth doing. You've earned that ticket. And with that, we can officially say the define phase is closed. So what's next? Well, enough talk, right? It's time to grab your measuring tape and head out to the floor because we're about to catch the process in the act. Next up, the measure phase begins.